Well, and I think one of the things that bothers people is you and I do not have an ability to be this person at work and a different person when we walk in the door at night. And if you're a jerk to the people that you supervise, you're a jerk to your kids. You can't turn it on and off. And people don't want to be jerks. They don't wake up in the morning saying, I'm going to upset a bunch of people. They don't, on their way in, figure out who am I going to mess with today. They, for some reason, in their past, said this is a way to be successful. Maybe they got bullied, whatever it was. They recognize they'd like to be different, but they have no way of getting there. And I mean, you think, well, people they're fine with being arrogant or domineering. No, they're not. They just don't know how to get out of that mode. And there's nothing big enough at stake at work to force them through the needle to change. But you get them to see that, you know what? A lot of parents have teenagers who talk to them. There's nothing that says when they become a teenager and they get hormones and wheels that they stop talking to their parents. No, that's some myth. There's a lot of parents whose kids talk to them. And if your kid isn't talking to you, it's because of who you are. You want to change that? And you know what? Along the way, you'll be a better person to work for.
Okay, you've intrigued me. What is the way? What is the path to helping people get better at these things?
Well, so first of all, I'm going to take a little side path here. People talk about instincts, things you do intuitively, things you see instinctively. So in every pro football game I've ever seen, there will be some time when the announcer's going to say he's got a high football IQ. What do you mean a high football IQ? Well, he can tell where the play is going to be before it kind of unfolds. That's not football IQ. That's just somebody who's seen that play so many times, they know what's happening. So ahead of instincts, that which people call, it's kind of my natural thing to do, is awareness. Like all farmers, when they drive down the road, they immediately notice what kind of tractor it is, what kind of radiator it is, how much horsepower it is. Have they memorized that? No, but they've got years and years. And they know exactly how that field ought to be plowed and planted. I like pheasant hunting. And do I tell myself to look for pheasants? No. But after so many years driving with my dad, road hunting, I know at what time of day and what kind of field where the birds are going to be, and that's where my eyes will go. Is that hunting IQ? No. That's just something drilled in by practice.
Yeah, pattern spotting. Yeah.
It's exactly. So if you look at awareness in every field, every discipline, there's seven factors or less. If you pay attention to that, you'll be good. In putting, a couple things to pay attention to. Shooting sporting clays, a couple things to pay attention to. So the experts who can train you know what the critical variables are. Critical variables are not something to learn or memorize. They're where you put your attention. So you put your attention there and then you do it enough so that it becomes instinctive. So what's the critical variable? Put your awareness there, practice enough so it becomes instinctive. So if we look at what instincts you and I would like to have, so empathy is kind of a buzzword out there. Well, why don't you and I have empathy? Because we're boys. You raise little boys to play and compete. There's no empathy involved in competing. None at all. We use warlike language to teach football. There's no empathy in warlike language. Kill, smash them, hit them, crush them. You're a coward if you don't hit that guy hard. Well, so empathy is something a lot of guys are short on. Where does empathy come from? It comes from most little girls are raised to care and train. Now, we've blurred those lines in a good way, and there's a lot of women involved in sports and who are a lot more candid and direct than they used to be. But fundamentally, for thousands of years, women train and nurture, guys play and compete. So what's the number one thing with respect to the most missing piece? And here's a piece that I'll tell you a short story. I was doing 3 afternoon workshops at Oregon State University, 3-hour workshops. 40 people could be in each session. The first one was on listening, which is by far the most important critical skill, which we're going to talk about. The second one was building high-performing teams. And the third one was being remarkable. Those are the 3 workshops. 42 people signed up for listening. 30 signed up for high-performing teams, which is kind of interesting. 177 people signed up for being remarkable. Why? Human beings want to be seen as unique, talented, and relevant. All human beings want to be seen as unique, relevant, and talented. So, what allows somebody to feel like they are relevant? Now, let's go back to the meeting thing, or psychological safety. The number one thing that allows for psychological safety is the attention of the group who you're speaking to. That's it. It's all about being attentive. Now, you can see in a group size of 20, you're going to get less attention because people do not manage their physicalness. They don't manage how they sit. They don't manage how they lean in. They don't manage their eye contact. And people think they can multitask and be attentive. You can't. So they bring other work, they check their phone. But when you speak, I used to coach a lot of people, and a lot of them, English is their second language. And so they've got this thing called, well, I want to have more impact when I speak. And the reason I don't have any impact is my English isn't so good. But I have a quick conversation with them, which first of all is, well, number one, I wouldn't worry about your English because you're not worried about my Chinese. And most of us are in awe of your English language. You do want to be careful, though, because if you have a concern about your English, you might speak softer. And that gives me a second problem in listening to you is I can't quite hear you. But the reason you don't feel like people are paying attention to you is nobody's paying attention to anybody. It's got nothing to do with you.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.